Hello, listeners. It's Susan. So I'm back here with a little mini bonus episode for you all. My friend and yours, Molly Dare Hillenbrand, had this incredible reaction to a TikTok video that she posted recently. And it's hysterical. And it's also a little mind-blowing. But it does teach us all that life goes on beyond 40. And I really wanted to have Molly come on and share it with you all. So stay tuned. Check this out. It's going to blow your mind. Hello and welcome to the podcast. I'm Susan Guthrie, your host, and I'm so excited because this is a special bonus mini-sode that I'm doing with my friend Molly Dare Hillenbrand. And I have to tell you, she's had a very exciting couple of weeks, as I just said to her. So you all remember Molly. She was on the show back about a year ago, believe it or not, Molly. It was a year ago in a really popular episode, If I'd Only Knew Then What I Know Now. And she had such great insights from the other side of divorce, right? Like all the things that are so important or that you think are so important during your divorce. And then Molly gave you that 10,000 foot view of what really turned out to be important. But you've gone on and it really have exploded lately with all the exciting things that you're doing. I watched and I just have so much fun keeping up with you. I mainly have to do it through Instagram since you're in Florida now, not up here in Chicago with me, but you launched your own podcast On Air with Molly Dare, which I was very happy and excited to be a guest on, but you had some incredible guests on your show. I saw Rachel Dialta was on, and you had an artist. I have to tell you, I've become obsessed with her. Is it Shanna or Shayna Wilson?
Shanna Wilson and she did some of the Time covers.
Oh, my hero. There's one, like if I were a billionaire, I would own her portrait of RBG. It's just, it gives me life. So, and you've just, who are some of the other fantastic guests that you've had? Because you've had
so many. Gosh, everyone's fantastic. You know how it is. It's like picking a child, like a favorite child. Like
yes.
But, I've had like Molly Bloom, who the movie Molly's Game was off of, Sarah Edmondson from The Vow, Keith, not on my podcast, sorry, but Keith Grossman, who's how I connected to the artist Shanna Wilson, I've interviewed as well. It's just been a really, really fun, as you know, having a podcast is just an amazing, amazing tool.
It's such a great way. And you find that everyone has a story and everyone has something interesting to share with people. And that's, I saw what's been happening for you lately and I immediately reached out. Actually, at first I was just enjoying it like everybody else in the world. Then I saw a little more depth to what was happening here for you. And I think there's a light-hearted element to what we're going to talk about, but then there is an undercurrent that I also think is something worth sharing with people. So you very kindly cleared your schedule this morning to tape this with me so that we could get it out. So thank you for joining me. We're going to, as you and I just said, save hopefully a lot of relationships with this because you did let's start with your TikTok, right? You did a TikTok video. You have a wonderful following on TikTok. I'll link to it in the show notes for everybody. But you do a lot of TikTok videos and then you did one and poof, right? 1.5, more than 1.5 million views in like no time at all. Suddenly I turn on my television. There you are on News Nation. I open up the New York Post. You're right there on the front part of the lifestyle section. There's Molly Dare everywhere. There's a new podcast for you. Molly Dare everywhere. Right? So it went viral. I'm going to play the audio in just a second, but did you know when you were making this video that this was going to be the one, because you've made a lot of videos. Did you think this was going to be the one that went crazy?
No. And you can tell I didn't think it was going to go viral or be well received because I did not have a stitch of, it's the one video of all the things I put out there in my life over the years. It's the one video. It's like 10:30 at night. My hair is up in like one of those messy bun ponytails. I have not a stitch of makeup on. And I heard the audio and I'm like, this is hilarious. Like my 200 people who watch my videos are going to love this, and okay, if they see me without makeup, who cares? This is hilarious. I got to put it out there. And I went to bed. And honestly, it wasn't for about 36 hours later, I got the usual amount of views and whatever comments. 36 hours later, I woke up in the morning to just of comments. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, what exploded? And I'm like, of course, it's that video.
You're like, why? You wake up and look at your phone and it's like TikTok, 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 TikTok. Well,
Oh
let's play I don't think anyone, if you haven't seen it, everyone, I will link to this particular TikTok, Molly's TikTok and this particular video in the show notes, but you won't really understand what we're talking about unless you hear this. Now, I do want to emphasize, because Molly emphasized it for me, this is not her original audio. She used somebody else's audio, and I'll also cite that in the show notes, but you got to hear this, folks. So here we go.
Left you a message several days ago. I don't like leaving second messages, but I like you. You're a very elegant woman. You're very attractive, but I don't play that game. So here's how it's going to work. If I do not receive a phone call back from you by 3 o'clock Thursday afternoon, I'm no longer interested. I'm very intelligent. I'm great in bed. I make great money. Believe it or not, I'm a complete catch. Matter of fact, I'm one of the few men in the city that has nothing wrong with him. Now, I understand if you've got other issues. I don't know, maybe you were abused in childhood. Maybe you're just a person who's extremely frightened or has an anxiety disorder. Maybe you're on some medication for that. I don't know. There could be another issue. But if you're psychologically normal and you haven't called me because there's been some horrible thing that's happened in your life which prevented you, that's fine.
Okay, Molly.
But I've heard it now thousands of times, and it truly never gets old. It never gets old. And I love that he says the only reason you're not calling me back is because you're mentally unstable. It's like narcissist alert.
Oh, I mean, there's so
Every red
much
flag on the table, spread out in 60 seconds.
I just listen every time. I've listened to it now several times. I've played it for everybody that I know because I can't help myself. I'm crying for those who aren't watching the video because I'm laughing so hard. And I have to tell you, you could have been a mime if media had not been your, PR was not your world. You could just go out there and put out a hat and do the wall because your face is so expressive and so perfect.
My facial expressions have both been a win and a negative for me in my life because I can't hide it.
Yes, it's all there, folks. Go watch the video. What Molly is thinking, but however, it's what I assumed everybody was thinking. Your face. But first, I want to talk about, what was it? Besides the obvious, but what you I think you called it dating in your 40s be like. That was the caption for your video for this. So what were you going for there?
What my original intention with the post was, we have anyone who's dating really at any age, any decade, right? We've all had either those messages or voicemails that we screenshot and send in our text to our best friend, be like, can you believe this guy? Can you believe this girl? Whatever it is. And that we're just in shock at how the behavior is of some people, or the audacity of some people who don't take rejection well, or who don't take your lack of interest well. And that's when kind of the real personality shows. It's like when you see how someone deals when things don't go their way. And so that's been, I have learned, now that I'm 44 years old, I have learned to spot a lot of red flags from the get-go. And I think that's really, really important as I'm in this phase of my life. Obviously I've been married, gone through a divorce, been in several relationships since. And I wanted to share it to be like, I'm sure you can relate to one part of this message. I think very few have had all the red flags in one message, but
like that.
But alas, I found the golden ticket. And so that was kind of my original intent, was putting it out there like, oh, I'm sure you can relate to at least one experience like this.
Well, and I think people did relate. I mean, there's a lot in that. that to relate to. Let me just ask you, I'm an old, as I told you, I played this for my husband and then turned to him and said, thank you. I'm so glad I don't have to date. I love you so much, honey. And as you and I were laughing, this will, if you are taking your spouse for granted or your boyfriend or your girlfriend,
you're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. Molly is saving marriages and relationships across the world.
So many relationships and marriages with that audio. The amazing appreciation people have for each other this past week has gone way up. So you're welcome. Yeah.
But I wonder, and you're talking about the red flags, and yes, that's, that one clearly is just one big red flag waving the, the size of the UN. But is dating like that in your 40s?
I have to be honest. I have met some amazing people. They are still really good golden eggs out there for sure. But you have to get through, unfortunately, a lot of the red flags to find, what is the ratio? That's a really good question too. It's like, what is the ratio of red flag to golden egg? And I'm sure everyone's experience is different. And what people consider a golden egg. But yeah, I mean, the reason why I think it went viral and was so popular is that there are, unfortunately, a lot of people that have those red flags. And if you see in the comments that were left attacking me, that I obviously hit a nerve with a lot of men who maybe related to Dimitri a little bit and were upset that I was sharing and that I didn't understand him completely. And I should, think about it and think about him and how direct he was being. And I should be thankful for how direct he's being in that message and not playing games. So I definitely hit a nerve for sure with people.
Well, and I think, we're going to talk about the comments because that's where we really, it's over 17,000 comments at this point. I mean, there's a lot to read there, folks. But one thing I thought was really interesting, and this is just my personal perspective, is I look at you and you're beautiful, you are accomplished, you are successful, and I know you're a lovely person. And so I imagine dating must be a wonderful, fun experience for you, right? Like only, fabulous men would even, drop into your universe and ask you out. That's my fairy tale going, or I'm guessing fairy tale going on in my mind.
That's my fairy tale too, in my fairy tale world. And again, I'm going to go back to, I've had both. I've had some really amazing people come into my life, and I've had some not so amazing people, all who I find interesting on both spectrums. But it's challenging because I think when you get to a certain age and you've had a certain amount of life experience, what you're looking for changes. And as you grow, and of course, with most partners, you hope you grow together as you go through life. And I think what I'm looking for now versus what I was looking for even 5 years from now or ago, 10 years ago, has completely changed. I've also become so comfortable. And I think a lot of women who have gone through divorce, reestablished themselves, whether they've started a business or went back to work and they've kind of figured out their new routine, are really hesitant, a little gun shy because it took so much to rebuild. It took so much to get to that point that you're like, okay, I've created my new normal. I've created kind of this fortress around me that I don't want to break again. And so I think we're a little bit more, I don't want to say critical because that has a negative connotation, but we're just a little bit more choosy when it comes to who we're going to partner with.
Right. Well, and I do want to mention you have two gorgeous daughters as well, right? So anyone you're introducing into your world, you're introducing into their world too. And by the way, Dimitri, do not introduce Dimitri to your daughters. The best part about this, like I'm thinking about now, make them watch that video and learn from that, because unfortunately that's out there in the world at their age as well. But let's dive into some of these comments, because you did get a lot of love. Yeah, there are many women, I think, who jumped on the wow. Yeah, that's not, sadly, that's not totally unusual. But you got a lot of bashing. You got a lot of trolls. I will say, I think they were, when I looked through it, looked like it was mostly men who felt like, yeah, you weren't appreciating Dimitri and his attempt to be honest.
Yes. And it's funny because my defense mechanism is always humor and sarcasm. And that's how I deal with things in my life. And I think that's why this particular one went viral too. It went viral on its own because it's shocking. It's shock and awe the whole way through.
Right.
But I think it continued going viral because I made kind of videos with the responses with sarcasm and humor, because that's the easiest way for me, at least what I found, to kind of deflect, to take it down a notch, right? Is when you respond with levity, like, you didn't get to me. That comment didn't get to me. I'm giving it right back to you. But yeah, no, so I was attacked by, most of my attacks were about my age. And you should be lucky that anyone is calling you, in your 40s. The best of your life is over. You're past your prime. I was attacked for my looks. Like, you're not even attractive, all that kind of stuff. It's like the easy targets. It's like what people go through when they're triggered and they're hurt and they want to bring you down. And, it's a warning, honestly, for anything in life that we all put a lot of content out there in the world, and, with your podcast too, and everything that goes to millions of people. And you can't help it but get some negative response. It's unfortunately how the world works. People feel safe behind their keyboard. And I wasn't upset, or if I didn't let it get to me, but I was more trying to be the spokesperson, self-nominated, for all the 40 somethings, 50 somethings, 60 somethings out there being like, are you kidding me? I'm past my prime. I am just hitting my prime. I have finally gotten to the point in my life where I figured out who I am. I can run my own company. I can raise these kids. I got my shit together. And I'm like the best version of myself to now be a partner for somebody else. Like, you're getting me at my best. Lucky you.
Yeah.
And so I think it's funny when people say, oh, 40s, 50s is past your prime. Like, no, you're getting the best version of me.
Well, and I want to just kick in for my over 50s as well, being one of those myself, right? To me, it's utterly shocking that somebody would say in your 40s, you're past your prime, because I feel it in my 50s and I just had interesting that we're talking about this, because I just had this conversation with somebody recently that, there is a certain mentality in a certain, swath of the population, that there is an expiration date on us as viable, interesting human beings. And it is funny because I have to say, I loved my 40s, loved them, met my current husband in my 40s, got married again in my 40s. I'm now well into my 50s. I've, established brand new careers and doing new things. And I love my life even more in my 50s, and I'm looking forward to my 60s. And so that's, that was the message that I wanted people to hear from this, and not just women, but I do think it is a societal, we get bashed for turning 40. God forbid we age.
Going back to that, a lot of the comments were also like, you're past your childbearing years. So what's a man going to do with you? Right. It's like, because our only purpose on this world is to birth others. Apparently we have no other redeeming qualities to us. It's like such an ancient way of thinking. And it's just such a shame, because again, I'm biased. I'm living my best life right now. You're saying the same. To me, it's only gotten better every decade. And I've been a better human every single decade. I've let go of my 20s insecurities. I've let go of my 30s, where I had like the wrong priorities. And now it's like, I got, my stuff together. And I think in the 50s, 60s, it's only going to get better and better and better. And so I think we need to stop looking at each other in that way of just like, oh, you want them young, you want them. No, I want someone who has so much to tell me, so much to say, someone I can learn from, someone who has so much experience. That is what you offer. And I don't want any woman or man in their 40s or 50s to ever feel less than, because what you have to give through just your life experience, what you've gone through, is so much more amazing than anything else.
It's so good. That's exactly what I wanted this episode to say, right? Because that's where I thought the power of what this experience for you really is. And I saw that you did a follow-up TikTok video in the past few days. I'll link to this one as well. But you were, sort of talking about that. One, I have a very difficult time with, if you can't have children, you have no value in the world, right? That's like, oh, okay. Unfortunately, and I won't get political, but that seems to be a world that we are living in this moment, a little bit of a step back into medieval times. But also just that we live in a society where people feel okay hiding behind their keyboard or behind their screen to attack someone that they don't know, they know nothing about you, to say very personal and intentionally hurtful things.
Yeah. And I just wanted to put it out there because, again, and I want to focus on the positive too of everything going viral, is that 90% of people were like, yeah, so supportive, so concerned when they thought it was my personal audio that I was okay. And also we're like, thank you so much for speaking up on behalf of the 40 plus generation who's on social media, on TikTok, Instagram, all the places. And so in my follow-up video, I just wanted to put it out there because I'm like, someone's got to just say it. First of all, the 40s is just hitting your prime. As I said before, 40s and 50s and 60s and onward, you're just getting started. And, when you attack someone on their looks, that only makes you look bad. It doesn't make the person look bad or anything. You kind of look a little less than. And it says something about your unhappiness. To me, when you have to go that low and that surface, it speaks volumes to me of you as a person and what you're struggling with. And so I think it's just important that the negativity that I've received, not just on that TikTok, but, I've put myself out there for quite a while and I've had, my fair share of negative comments. And again, I just want to remind everyone, if nothing else, that when you receive that negative criticism or a negative feedback, that it has nothing to do with you and has everything to do with the person who is saying it, the limitations they've put on themselves, or maybe some insecurities that they have that you're representing and triggering within them.
So perfect. And it makes me think of my best friend is from Dallas, Texas, and her favorite phrase is "bless your heart." And for any of you Southerners out there who know what that means, if you don't, look it up.
That's a good line.
Yeah, right. And maybe that's a good note to end on, right? If somebody, it's really just bless their heart and move on. And when somebody feels the need to criticize, well, I want to thank you personally as a woman in my 50s for picking up the banner for those of us over 40 and reminding us that life doesn't end then. I'm looking forward to, I don't do a lot of TikTok. I just signed up to get an account so I can follow you. And I'm looking forward to a lot more of your content coming up. Thanks, Molly.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for joining us for this special bonus episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review if you liked the episode. And we'll see you next week with more content to help you through your divorce and beyond.